Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. Easter is the time to have some kind of lamb on the table. A lot of times it's a lamb chop or maybe a lamb roast, but I decided to make some lamb meatballs and I'll have them with some roasted potatoes. And what's really going to give this the kind of Finnish twist is I'm going to serve these with some tomato sauce that has lovage. Lovage is not a well-known herb outside of Scandinavia, outside of Finland. And even in Finland, it used to be a little bit more popular than what it is today. But I think it's a great herb that fits together specifically with the lamb because it complements that strong lamb flavor that the meatballs will have. So join me and I'll show you how to make these Finnish meatballs with some potatoes and a lovage tomato sauce. So let's make our meatball mixture. I have here equal amounts of lamb, pork, and beef ground. You could use any combination thereof. You could use maybe lamb and pork or lamb and beef. If you don't want as much lamb flavor, you could definitely up the ratios a little bit of the other meats, whichever way you want to go. So let's put our ground meats in the mixer. I'm going to add 2 eggs. I'll add some French onion recipe mix in here as well. Instead of this, you could just saute some onions and add them in here, but I feel like this is a great shortcut because sauteing onions takes a little while. We're going to add some ground paprika and now some ground allspice and some black pepper. I'll add about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. And now I'm going to measure 15% of the meat weight in breadcrumbs. I have a couple different kinds of breadcrumbs here. I have here some ground rye bread from Finnish sourdough hard crisp rye that I had lying around. And then I have regular breadcrumbs and some panko. So I'm just going to mix them together and add about 15%, which comes to about 200 grams of breadcrumbs. Put these breadcrumbs in here. And I'll add a little bit of salt because I remember from last time that the onion soup mix wasn't really as salty as I thought it would be. And now we mix to combine. Now that the meatball mixture is ready, before I make meatballs, I'm actually going to fry up a little test piece on the pan just to make sure that the spice and the salt is right. All right, let's taste the piece. Make sure all the seasoning is correct. I think these are good to go as is. And now let's make some meatballs. Whatever size you make them, just make sure they're kind of even size so they will cook evenly. Now our potatoes are cooked, so I'm just going to add a little oil into them. I'll crush a couple garlic cloves in here. Add some black pepper. Some salt, some rosemary powder, paprika. Just mix it all up. Now we're going to place the potatoes on the baking sheet, cut side down, in between the meatballs. These are now going to go in the oven, 425 Fahrenheit, about 210, 215 Celsius. And they're going to cook until the meat is cooked through using a meat thermometer just to verify it. While my meatballs are cooking in the oven, I'm going to make a tomato sauce that's pretty basic. However, it has a very interesting twist to it. First of all, let's take some tomato puree. Let's just pour the entire container in here. This is a very quick tomato sauce to make. And we'll add an onion in here. I just happen to have this Vidalia onion, so I'm using it cut into quarters. You could use a regular yellow onion cut into halves instead. I'm also going to add some butter. Now here comes the extra twist. I'm going to use some dried lovage. It has this savory aroma that kind of resembles maybe celery, maybe a little tarragon. So I'm just going to put some in this sauce over here. Doesn't really need that much. And I'll just mix this up just a little to get everything kind of mixed together. And I'm going to cover it and let it simmer while my meatballs are cooking. All right, our meatballs are out of the oven, and let's just check the temperature, make sure they are cooked. Yes, they are 75 Celsius. Now we'll just finish up the sauce over here. I'm going to fish out the onions. And we're just going to give it a little stir. Now we'll plate some up and take some of this tomato sauce, add a couple of our potatoes, and then our lamb meatballs. We'll add some curly parsley as garnish. And here we go, Finnish lamb meatballs for Easter with some roasted potatoes and some lovage tomato sauce. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.